everybody, how you doing? Okay, we're here today talking about Scottish independence. I am sitting down with Sharon Sunshine and Eunice Capaldi and Paul Capaldi, and we're just talking about things. Obviously, my friends, the Capaldis and Sharon Sunshine, are from Scotland, live in Scotland, and so we're just talking about Scottish independence and talking about the issue and talking about things, and just exploring the issue. So, for those of you who are interested, stay tuned, and we'll see you a little bit.
He said that ultimately Boris Johnson is going to have to come back to Westminster and explain what deal is going to happen when Britain leaves Europe. Okay. And this was the problem before, was the fact that there was this no deal. And basically the EU was saying, well, you don't have the mandate to speak on behalf of the British people.
Right.
Because you've never won an election. Now the fact that he's won this election, and I mean, let's face it, the Tories did remarkably well. I was surprised.
In England and in Wales. Yes.
I was surprised how well they did, and but you're saying that, but as I say, you've got to acquiesce to the majority of the members in the club because they are the majority. You've chosen to stay within this club. You can't pick and choose which bits of being in the UK you want to go with and which bits you don't want to go with. As I say, you can't.
Well,
you can't
explain many times why I disagree with you on that point because.
But you can't have a situation where, as I say, every 4 years, for the next 4 years we're going to stay within the UK. The next 4 years we're not going to stay. You can't have that. There's too much. There is a British army for one thing.
Well, there's a British army, yeah. So what?
So.
I mean, is Britain going to invade Scotland if they vote to become independent? Is that the ultimate solution there? I mean, here let's get down to the nitty gritty, Paul, because I don't believe Scotland needs the UK. As the more I'm looking into this and realizing that Scotland meets its energy needs already, it's already. I mean, it controls. I think it's an insane percentage, like something like 60 to 70% of the water that's in the UK is in Scotland's locks and lake, and you know what I mean. It's like that's phenomenal. I mean, they have the natural resources to take care of themselves. You guys sell a fucking shitload of fucking scotch. If that revenue was going to Scotland instead of Westminster, that would pay for a hell of a lot of shit. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of reasons why, I'm looking at this going, well, I don't know that independence is such a bad thing. I mean, I'm still cautious about it because I don't want to see Scotland fucked off and with nowhere to turn. So, I mean, I'm very cautious. But at the same time, I'm looking at it going, Scotland's kind of got its ducks in a row. Its parliament's fucking doing the right things.
Look, I mean, the bottom line is Scotland has its own parliament. The Welsh only have an assembly. They don't even have what Scotland has. And Northern Ireland has its assemblies. There has been this devolvement of power. But the whole raison d'etre of the SNP is independence. Once they were given the Scottish Parliament, it's like all they can do from now on is just keep going on about, we want independence, we want independence. We don't know why we want it, but we want independence. We want independence. And it's like trying to justify it on the basis that.
But you understand Brexit justifies that
just because we don't like Westminster, but just because we don't like England.
Let me ask you this: if I find it, because I've been told it's in the Edinburgh Agreement. If I find for you, here's Sharon.
Yeah.
So if I find for you, Paul, because I've heard it's in the Edinburgh Agreement, if I find for you where it says if there is a major change in the government, that is enough to trigger another referendum.
Yeah.
Because Brexit is a huge change.
Okay.
A big change for especially for a country like Scotland, who
Okay.
64% of the people had voted that they wanted to stay in the EU,
Okay.
even though they are a small percentage of the population of the entire UK. But still, that group of people voted one way. And you know, so if I show you that, will you then understand why that at least gives the SNP the right to be asking for it?
Okay. So hold on a sec. Let me get this right. So as far as the Erekose government of Scotland, UK, etc. is concerned, if for the next 100 years, if Scotland wants to play the hokey cokey, 4 years in, 4 years out, 4 years in, 4 years out, depending on who's won the general election, you're happy with that?
No. No.
Okay.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, look,
2 seconds.
Look, you'd have to ask me again in 5 years. And we'd have to see if there's another huge change like Brexit happening. That would
Zoe? Hello.
Hey, Sharon.
How you doing?
All right. He just keeps going on about how willy-nilly asking for independence referendum every few years. Hey, look, it's Eunice. Hey.
How you doing, Eunice?
How are you doing?
So where do you stand on independence, Eunice?
We need to have independence.
Oh, there you go. Oh,
definitely.
I love it. No, I honestly, I think I feel the same in a lot of ways, but I realize there's a lot of Scots that don't feel that way. It seems, and
you know what the biggest thing about it is actually the older people. They're not actually thinking about the future. They're only thinking about themselves and what's actually happening at the moment. They're not thinking about their children or their grandchildren, great-grandchildren, how it's going to affect them. But we need independence because we are a separate country. We're treated as a separate country.
It just seems like England and Wales are just kind of going in a different direction than you guys are. I don't even think it's necessarily malicious or anything like that. It's just like it's happening. It is. It's just the way it is.
It's very much. They feel like government, the Westminster, want to have this control over us, but actually because we've got our own parliament, they're not able to. Like we have free prescriptions in Scotland, they don't in England.
Right.
So if we leave the European Union, like for example, our daughter is diabetic,
right,
and at the moment all the insulin comes from abroad, and we get tax relief on that, so we didn't have to pay for it. Whereas if we don't get independence and we have to leave the euro, it means that Emily would have to pay for needles, insulin, everything to do with diabetes. And for somebody a young lassie, trying to build her life up, and then because she's got this unfortunate disease, because that's what it is, unfortunate, she didn't ask for it. Right. It wasn't brought on by her.
Yeah.
And she's having to pay for that. So she's having to look at all those things over and above, like paying rent and all the rest of it, because actually our medical needs come first.
Right.
So we're really fortunate that in Scotland she doesn't have to pay for anything. Right. Whereas if we leave the euro, that's what's going to happen. We're going to have to pay for.
And I understand your pensioners, we'll say, get to ride the bus for free at 60 in Scotland. 60. Whereas it's
I actually
66.
get the bus. I actually get to ride free as well because I'm disabled.
Oh, disabled.
So I've got a wee bonus pass.
Yeah, and then I believe it's 66 down in Englandshire, in Wales.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So things like that, and then I mean, it just looks like the Scottish Parliament to me is doing its job. It's doing a good job.
Absolutely.
And I mean, if we think about what's going on right now with Westminster holding up the budget until March, like literally till the day the Scottish councils need to start setting their
by law, they have to do it that day.
Right.
They have to have done it by law. It's
literally like the day that they're going to be like, that's going to be the hellish day ever. I mean, and that's what Westminster's forcing on the situation. And I gotta imagine, I can imagine that's annoying, and maybe once some more of the Scots feel the effect of what that's going to cause.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hopefully there'll be enough people talking about it, because hopefully it's not going to get blamed on the Scottish Parliament, because the holding up of this budget isn't any Scotsman's fault.
No.
It's not any Scotsman's fault. This
Or
budget
women.
being held up is clearly Westminster's problem. So it's certainly not going to be the SNP's fault, which I already know that we're probably going to hear the people spinning it that way when the time comes. But we probably do need to be vocal about it, and so people understand what's happening. That holding back of the budget really pisses me off when I think about this more and more, because also, I'm trying to be fair. I'm trying to look at it from both sides and trying to like be balanced. But the more I look at it, I just see this crap coming out of Westminster, and I'm like, it's hard to hold on to the balance. But
also we have like loads of major companies within the UK that have tax relief. So they're like say Boots,
Amazon,
for example.
Yeah, Israel. Yeah.
You know, they don't pay any tax within Britain. All their money goes to Switzerland. So they get tax relief on it. So they don't pay any tax in Scotland at all, or in Britain at all.
Yeah, in Britain.
So all that money that like a massive company like Boots and Amazon, that you know, all this money is going to a completely separate company.
Starbucks as well, I think. Starbucks, the other one.
Too,
I think the biggest problem is that actually the people on the ground don't know that.
No.
And it needs to be brought to the forefront. That we need to know the information, because
the blinkers on.
Yeah, absolutely. But if they've not got the information, and that, like, personally, I think that is the Scottish Government's fault, because they're not bringing it to the forefront. Whereas if they were to bring that to the forefront, then people would have a totally different view on it. You know, name and shame all these companies that don't pay tax within the UK. Yeah. Name and shame them, and get them to pay what they need to pay.
I thought you were going to say get them to something else there.
No, that's true. I mean, you're talking about
get them to
really wealthy companies like that, and basically, I mean, not having to contribute. I mean, that's disturbing. Here's the other thing that this is another thing, and I'm continuing to look into all of this, obviously, and learn more. But see, I'm sitting here trying to figure out how the Conservatives sold this whole Brexit thing to the business owners in the UK, because, like, yeah, we're going to take you out of that huge international market where you're able to sell your goods on and you don't have to pay tariffs to get it over there and all that stuff. No, we're going to take that away from you. Now when you want to sell it over there, you're going to probably end up paying some more tariffs. Your product, the price of your product's going to end up going up a little bit. And you're probably not going to be as competitive. See, that's where, as this continues to unfold, that's another one of my kind of questions is I want to see what's going to happen there, and if the businesses that are hurt by it are going to eventually get, you know, uppity and start complaining about it, because I can't see how it's going to be good for them.
It can't possibly good for them.
Yeah,
it can't.
I was going to say, considering that's one of the main things that they were saying in the independence referendum in 2014, it's going to hurt businesses. There's going to be a border between Scotland and the rest of the UK, and you won't be able to trade, and you know what I mean. So that was all the things, and a load of business people like Eunice, you know, Michelle Moan, her that ended up getting made a lady.
Yes, the bra.
She was coming out. That went something up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, she ended up having to sell her business because everybody in Scotland was like, you know, because she put the fear campaign out. She was like, I'm getting harassed, I'm getting all these cyber nats. She was giving it big, you know, big. Do you remember her, that blonde woman? I said she had long blonde hair, and she was, remember, Erekose, I sent you, it was the night before the referendum.
She was the one, she had she made out of a company that made bras, right?
Yes.
Yeah, right, yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
And she was getting very vocal, right? I remember,
Michelle Moan, her name was, but everybody called her Michelle Mooney.
Right.
But she was. It's time. Else. It's really time, and I know, like, I totally appreciate that people are getting pissed off with hearing about the referendum and want to get the referendum and the money that's been spent on trying to get people to vote for it. I totally and utterly appreciate it. But actually, you know, we've been to Shetland. Well, Paul's been 3 times to Shetland. I've been once, but there's more millionaires in Shetland than what there is in the whole of the UK.
Oh,
Now,
really?
if you look at the Shetland Islands, it's unbelievable the size of Shetland compared to the UK.
Right.
And there's more millionaires. And actually, when we went, there was a lot of English that had moved up there because they realised how much prosperous it was up there than what it is within England.
Right.
Because of that deal that struck.
Because, absolutely. And it's
Do you
just
remember?
crazy.
Oh, sorry.
Well, we went to Eunice,
Yeah, we went to U Sound,
which is...
And there was more English people there.
Top Island,
furthest
you can get from the UK.
Yeah.
You were chatting with a couple from Swindon.
It's usually somebody from Blackpool you bump into when you're away.
They were absolutely loving it, saying how great it was. I mean, very, very rural and stuff like that. But they were totally minted. Right. And said it was the best move they'd ever made in their lives. And it's that for me kind of solidifies why we should be independent. When people are willing to move from England up to Scotland because they realise that you're far more prosperous in Scotland than what you are within England.
Remember when we went out on that drive round and we both said, let's wind the kids up and tell them we were moving to Shetland.
So we told the kids we were going to move to Shetland and they were like, oh my God!
Oh my God, can we get the house?
The funny thing though, talking about people moving to Scotland is, right after the general election, I think Sharon was the one that pointed it out, there was a huge spike on Google searches of people researching moving to Scotland.
It was. It's one of the top things it was.
Yeah, so that's pretty wild, But
as far as I recall, I'm not having one of my better days for remembering things.
Oh, well.
I said that earlier on to you. It's not one of my sharpest days, let's say. But there was a deal because they were going to land the oil on Shetland, and they wanted a proportion of it so that they could have an oil fund, and that was like a arrangement where I think it was Margaret Thatcher. She said, "Okay, we'll land it there, but we'll negotiate a deal so that Shetland got libraries and all infrastructure put up, and a load of money put into them. Plus, they were able to retain that money from the tax revenue that oil was going to, or that thereabouts." But so it was bypassing the whole of the rest of Scotland. The money was going directly to Shetland, and the oil was going down to England for wherever they were selling it for.
It's really interesting because I was going to go to the march last week in Glasgow because my sister and my nephew are really staunch independent.
Yeah.
My sister had said to us, "So you go to the march." Did you see that march? Unbelievable.
It was wonderful, wasn't it?
That came out. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it, but my sister and my nephew were there, and they said it was just really surreal that people. So why aren't people? And I think actually since the election, I would say if they had a referendum on Monday, we would win it.
I think it still might be close. I'm still
if they gagged all the media.
Yeah.
Ban the BBC for the weekend.
Boris Johnson, what an arsehole. Him and Trump together, it's
he's like a Muppet. He's like a Muppet in the Prime Minister's position.
I say the only difference between the two of them is hairspray. Trump's got the hairspray going and Boris has it.
Exactly.
Well, the way that Boris talks about Trump affectionately too is just like, I mean, for whatever people's, I don't like to get political much, but for whatever people's opinions are, Trump is concerning to me.
Right.
I'm not calling for his head, but that guy is concerning to me. He's very kind of slimy, and but I get it. People chose him over a different option. I don't fault anybody for that, but to sing his praises, I don't know. But Boris seems to sing his praises too, and I'm just like, I don't know how people can say something so disingenuous. The guy is really not much of a good guy. His best measure of if you're a good person is if you're rich. So
Yeah,
exactly.
that tells you right there.
So listen, Erekose, I have to pull you up, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't know whether to call you the wee Scottish lass or Batchy when you said, I don't like to get political.
Yeah.
I have to get you going. You know, they don't like to go political either, but it's happening.
Yeah. Well, I suppose I meant by in my own country, I guess.
Yes,
maybe,
okay, right, okay.
you know.
I just thought I'd get you there, you know.
We're talking about it tonight, and like it's two older ladies that I sit with at the bingo, and they were saying about Trump and saying, you know, like if you look at Twitter and you pull up all the comments that Trump's made, if that was anybody else making
up.
comments,
you would think they were a crazy person. I know.
They would be in jail.
Right.
They would be in jail.
Yeah.
Because some of the things that he said is like so ridiculous.
Yeah.
It is unbelievable. And how has he gotten away with that? I don't understand that.
Yeah. So.
I don't understand it.
Oh.
It's just crazy.
He's
doing a Neil shouting in the background.
And as long as the people vote him in,
I know. Have you've got an election?
Just like Scotland voted in, voted in a buttload of SNP candidates into their parliament. If they vote him in, what can you do? It's democracy in action.
You know what's really strange? You know, when you look at the voting polls of Scotland at the last general election in Scotland, the border area where we live was the only one that kept a seat, and it was Conservative.
Yeah.
And that's because we're full of old people that have no understanding, because they're thinking back to the days where they were able to buy their houses, you know, they got good pensions, all that is. When my dad was still living, he actually went to us as his children and his grandchildren and asked us what we wanted him to vote, because he said, this isn't going to affect me.
Right.
This is your life I'm looking at.
That's cool.
This is what I want. I'm thinking of, I've got my own ideas of what I would vote. He says, but actually it's not going to affect me because it's not, I'm not going to
here.
Yeah. And like I really, really I respected my dad anyway, but that to me was just like
too much.
Amazing. Amazing.
Like, here, you guys are going to be the ones that are going to be around. So why don't you guys, So that's, that's a great gesture.
I think that's a good message to put out. You know, like it should be some sort of campaign. You know, like get your grandparents involved, talk to them, tell them what you want, and
absolutely.
It should be something. They should be pushing that maybe somewhat, because I mean, even at the independence referendum, they were like that. Oh, the pension's going to drop, and all the things they promised, and the vow, and all the rest of it. And they never stuck to anything that they promised. They never stuck to anything.
They never do they?
No.
The voting
but then we've had a referendum, so we have to stick with it, because it's undemocratic if we want.
Right. And the voting maps I showed in a previous video show that in terms of the voting there, that you're right along the border, Galashiels and that sort of stuff. That was blue, and that's where. So, but that was blue. It was only blue in the older generation maps. So the 25 to 50 and the what was it, 65 and over. Those two maps, the border area was blue. But but like in the 25 to 50 range, it's just one little thing around the border, and everything else is pretty much yellow. And then when it gets to like the 18 to 25-year-olds, Scotland's just yellow.
Yeah,
yellow.
So I mean that's where it's headed. Where it's headed. But right now it would seem that the middle class, there's quite a bit of the middle class that seems to be holding on to the UK. That they,
because it benefits them for tax things, like Eunice was saying, benefits the people with big companies that are getting tax relief and all sorts of things. Like what was people like Jacob Rees-Mogg and all that, even in the government, it was almost like they put a bet. It wasn't a bet, but it was like they were able to put money into things so that it benefited. Aye. I've not been on the booze, honest. Yeah.
She's not scheming, folks.
So they would die a death every time they thought that Brexit wasn't going to come because they were, they'd invested the other way, so it benefits them. So I don't know whether for them and people with big companies and all that in the government, I don't think they should be allowed to invest in something that affects the people. Because that's like insider trading type. It's not the same, but it's like that sort of thing. They're not allowed to.
Yeah, but
but they can. Yeah, but they can do what they like, and
Right.
It's the same. Like I was saying, like we have the benefit scheme, and like I agree that people have got to live, but like in the situation where I work in school, we have a lot of parents that have never worked, have no idea what it's like to work, but they've got houses, they get the rent paid for them, they've got their bus passes, they've got, in fact, I just found out that some of the parents get free nappies for their children. Oh. So obviously that means that they can keep the children in nappies. Whereas when our kids went to nursery, they had to be potty trained. They weren't allowed into nursery unless they were potty trained. That isn't the case now. And we've got 2-year-olds and they're coming in from 9:15 in the morning to 3:20 in the afternoon and getting their free lunches and all the rest of it.
Right.
And we've got these parents that think it's their God-given right to get that.
They deserve it. That just makes me mad when I hear people like that.
It's just like I've got situations where I've had families coming into me. Like I had a woman that came in and she'd got 7 children, and we'd had like 4 children, and she came to us and said that she was getting a new house because she was only in a 3-bedroom, and she was getting a 5-bedroom, and I was like, oh, that. I'm really chuffed for you that you're getting a 5-bedroom. And I said, so whereabout is it? And she told me in the town. I said, oh, but there's not any council accommodation there. And she said, no, it's a private rent. And I was like, so how does that work with your benefits? Oh, I still get it paid for me. And I was like, what? You still get it paid for you?
Rent whatever house you like and just...
Absolutely. And I was like, how does that happen? How, in this day and age, how does that happen? We're supposed to be facilitating situations where people are trying to make themselves better.
Yes.
And that is not happening within this area. It's not, and whether it be in Scotland, England, America, it's not happening.
Yeah.
There's
a great sense of entitlement that's sweeping the world. Yeah, certainly.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't the Tories, some of the principles about trying to get people to work that haven't worked, and they're targeting the wrong people. That's the thing. They're targeting the wrong people. Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying I'm like pro-Tory or anything. Don't go crazy. But it was them that let you buy houses. Buy the houses, and they let people get a start and stuff like that. But then at the same time, they were privatising things and putting people out of work.
But what they were doing was they were letting people buy their houses, but then they weren't building
anymore. Yes,
anymore. So the shortage of housing is ridiculous. Yeah. But then you go into Edinburgh and you go like Mayfield, for example, and there's houses that are standing boarded up. So why are they not getting them sorted out?
Like Crazy Line?
And getting them sorted out and letting people buy them and bring them.
I think there's a new scheme. I think I read there's a new scheme where they're trying to identify people that have got properties that are lying empty to try and.
There is.
There's that new thing, and I can't remember what it was, but it was like a silly amount you could, get a grant or.
Yeah.
You could hand it over if you weren't able to.
Yeah, there definitely is something like that.
Yeah. I can't remember what it was. I don't know whether it was a Scottish government thing or a local council type thing.
A UK wide.
Yeah, because there's too many empty, abandoned properties where,
That's right.
They've just got derelict. And I mean, they're lovely houses. I walk past, I say walk past, I'm using my wheelchair, but I still say walk past when I'm going by. So I roll past nice houses, oh, that's lovely, it's pure empty, and it's a shame. It's a shame.
It really is. I was carrying on for that woman. The other thing that really pissed me off one day, she was saying that she'd got mental health issues, and because of her mental health issues of having the 7 children, she'd come in with jumpers on and her riding gear and stuff. And I said, oh, you've been away riding? And she said, oh, I've actually got a horse. And I was like, I beg your pardon?
Her daddy's pony.
Is she like on the effective equivalent of like welfare? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, all right, okay.
The social services, because she got mental health issues, had given her a horse to look after, even though she got 7 children to look after.
Yeah.
It was helping her well-being. They'd facilitated for her to have this horse. And she's going, oh, it's great, I've got this horse. And like, I was like absolutely raging. And I'm saying,
it doesn't seem quite fair. I mean,
I was saying, like, I would love to have a horse. I would love to be able to have a horse. And I said to her, do you realize?
In terms of her mental condition, I mean, that's can't be helped. But nobody, I doubt anybody ordered her to spread her legs and create 7 kids.
Exactly.
So,
you say what we're thinking. We're ladylike.
So, I mean, I get what you're saying, but I'm also sympathetic to her. But I'm,
to a certain extent,
to suddenly be getting a 5-bedroom house in a non-price efficient area of town, because that's where you want to be, and then having the taxpayers pay for you to be having a horse and all that entails.
And
I mean,
frustrating.
That's the kind of things that can tax a system and weigh it down and cause it to collapse.
Our kingdom for a horse.
It's not me being against her as a woman or a mother or any other thing. It's practical society.
It's not her fault. It's the system's fault.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's the system's fault because we're facilitating, providing that facility for her. Why not? Why not?
That's the attitude, isn't it? They have. It's the attitude.
It would almost seem like an incentive to have more kids, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But there was that woman on. I don't really watch This Morning, but it was on like when how you watch YouTube and another wee video come up after you watch something, a wee suggestion thing, and there was that woman that had. How many? I think it was like 12 kids or something she had, and she was getting breast augmentations and with the money that she had, and you know what I mean. She was like living the high life, and it was like
better off than us.
Well, that's what they say. That's what they say. The people using the food banks is the working poor.
Yeah,
because they're not entitled to all the benefits and stuff.
Yeah, without a doubt. It's just really frustrating, and like I got really angry at her, and as I say, it wasn't her problem. It was really, but the teacher took my collar and said, "I think we need to go in, Mrs. Clark. Let's stop this discussion right here." Because I would say, "Do you realise that actually I would love to have a horse, but it's me that's paying for you to have that horse?"
I love horses too. So
what do you mean? What do you mean?
Right.
She's like, there's your husband on the phone.
So one last thing to talk about, I think, while I have you two ladies here. Let's talk about austerity and let's talk about the bedroom tax.
Yeah. Well, the bedroom tax, I don't know whether you were clear what that really was. It's only a bedroom tax for people that are getting like the housing benefit, for people that are on the welfare.
Okay.
You don't have to pay an extra bedroom if you own your own house. So there was one of the videos, and I thought, I need to mind and point that out. So, but yeah, it's so that people can't just get a 10-bedroom house, claim benefits to get that paid for. It's like so they can only get what is the rooms they need, sort of thing. But where it affects people is if someone maybe get a disability and they need a carer to live there with them or something like that, and they need that extra bedroom. They don't take that into consideration that you need that because the carer's maybe just there to work, they're not there to live, if you know what I mean.
Right.
So it can be difficult for people with disabilities and stuff like that, So, but it's quite pricey. It mounts up, if somebody's maybe got like 2 extra bedrooms, the bedroom tax, it would mount up, and that obviously comes out their own, their own money that they're getting. So, but in Scotland, we don't have to pay that. It's been
so it only happens within the welfare system there. Okay.
Yeah. But in England and Wales and all that, they have to pay for that extra room. And do you know the thing that's quite troubling though? Yeah.
What percentage of the population do you feel is part of that welfare system?
You mean in Scotland or
Let's say
in the whole?
Scotland.
I couldn't really give a proper answer to that.
Okay. Let me see.
No!
Let's see if I can. Let me see if I can try to see.
You know,
The
Most people I know work. Most people I know work. I don't.
well, I know that but I know there's a lot of poverty
Yeah,
there, so there's a lot of people out
exactly.
of work, right? I
Yeah.
mean,
you know, I'm going to put my hand up. Have I ever taken advantage of, you know, the fact that at one point when I was made redundant, you know, the state will look after me? Yeah, of course. You know,
That's what it's there for, to support people.
Exactly, and you
Not
know,
to support a lifestyle.
they help me out. Did I see the advantages of, you know, going back to work? Of course, you know, because that's what you want to do. Are there people out there who abuse the system? Undoubtedly.
yeah.
You know,
The Jeremy Kylers.
it's just human nature, I suppose. And you know, and in all of us, there is a certain sort of animosity towards those that have managed to play the system, but also a certain amount of respect for the fact that they've managed to do it. You know, it's we all know the Rabsy Nesbitts of the world. You know,
I was going to say Rabsy Nesbitt.
It's funny how he is a national hero.
Right.
You know, Buffalo Bill for Mary Hill, never worked and never will. You know, but you know that's that.
Right.
That's our sense of humour, I suppose.
It made redundant at 19, you know, in the
playing
since up to 56, you know.
Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah.
Of course, there's going to be people that are going to play the system. Some people more so than others. But you know, it's got to be there for the people that need it, because that's what the whole purpose of our society. You know, some of the things that I've seen have been, you know, some of the means testing of people when it comes to, you know, you don't really need that anymore because you can do this, that, and the other. Well, you know, I think various governments have come forward and come up with, you know, we will eradicate those that are what's the word, the sort of the dole queue, you know, people that kind of abuse things. I can't remember them.
I know the word you mean, and it's like it's not coming into my head. It's like
dole wallers. I don't know what you call them.
That wasn't the word I was thinking. I don't know what it was.
In the land of Ouija's, but yeah, that's
Hey, look, you know, entitlement it's like a disease right now. I'll tell you what. I mean, I'm hearing people say it's a problem in the UK. I know it's a problem here. I see plenty of it, where people just feel so entitled, and they don't feel like there's like they seem to shrug off the normal responsibilities of life that we all need to really take seriously. It's a little concerning to see, especially as things get more and more volatile politically around the world. I mean, things continue to get more and more volatile, not just in our own little hamlets, you know. So
you'd think those people would take more of an interest, because obviously where's their money coming from? The state. You'd think they would be interested.
That leads to such an ego and pride that is creating this, you know, really crazy, you know, situation that's happening. You know, I don't know.
But then they're not getting to live a full life and feel the fulfillment of working a day and, you know, all that sort of thing. You know, so they're losing out in other ways. You know, but they probably don't know that though, if they've just been. It's not dole dodgers or something. What is that phrase I'm looking for? You've started me off now with saying that word. You know what I'm like? I'm like, what is it? Trying to think. Oh, I'll remember tonight at like 3 in the morning now.
There you go. Should be coming back to comment as the comment on the video.
Yeah, like, remembered. Yeah. Probably.
All right, so I think we have, as it says there in Sharon's window there, I think we have reached the end, mine. So
yeah, this is just the start. That's just the start.
well, we're 40 minutes in.
I'm kidding on. I'm kidding
Yeah,
on.
no. Anyways, no, but I had a lot of fun, and thank you for having Eunice sit down with us, dude. That was a lot
That
of
was
fun.
nice. That was nice.
You were recording?
Yeah, I was. You knew I was recording. Come on, dude. You're so
Did Eunice know?
No.
Did she know she's going to be on?
She doesn't. I don't think she minds. She's pushed him out of his chair when he was live before.
Absolutely.
Him and Mark were live, and she's like coming over there, bumping him out of the chair, sits down. Hey guys. And
I've got the heater right here.
Oh no.
so,
I mean, there's loads of topics for other times. Do you know what I mean? There's loads of things going on.
oh yeah,
Loads
we've
of things going.
got some feelers out. Like I was telling Paul earlier, it seems like Resolution 12 may want to contribute to the conversation, which I'm very happy to accommodate. You're obviously you've obviously found a couple of really brilliant supporters that we've been chatting with the last couple of days.
They seem really good, don't they?
And you've opened up some line of communication with a unionist, right?
Yes.
Right. So Sharon's my new Scottish Independence secretary, folks. I just want to let you know. So
that's what I am.
She's the hub right now. She makes sure. So if you want to make sure I don't miss something, you want to make sure she's aware of it.
I've got a new SMP pen as well.
Oh, a new one.
A new one.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Don't ask. I won't tell how I go.
I will say, because she is very, very, very decidedly SNP and everything, don't mistake the fact that I am still very much on the fence about Scottish independence myself. Although I do admire the SNP, and I think they are doing a great job in Scotland, and they are putting the people first. And I think it's marvelous that people in Scotland don't have to pay for their subscriptions. Prescriptions.
Merlin, she laughed at you the last time you said that.
That they don't have to pay, that at 60 you can ride the bus for free there. I mean, these types of things, they're looking out for the people and the general welfare, and so I can't fault them for that. So, but just a little disclaimer is that I'm still on the fence.
I was going to say, though, I don't follow them blindly. If another party came out and they were doing things that were similar to the SNP, but they maybe had, maybe a stronger stance, maybe, there's really just the SNP, and then there's very much the unionist side, or the Greens,
Right.
So, I mean, it's like, everybody always says, everybody just, trying to think of a nice phrase, but they just go crazy for the SNP, but it's because there's such a divide between the SNP's principles and what the unionists are, unionist parties are wanting, so that's why it's such a stark,
Well, and the Conservatives didn't do themselves much of a favor in this last election, because literally the thing they ran on was, vote for us if you want to vote against independence.
Yes.
And it's like, well, you guys lost a lot of seats.
Yeah. That's like a campaign for independence, isn't it, here in Scotland?
I mean, it's funny, but yeah, I mean, it seems that if nothing else, it seems like the Scottish people, whether they want independence or not, are not all too keen with the treatment they've received from Westminster. And that much, I think, is something that most Scots can agree on. Like, I think probably 75% or more maybe can, maybe somewhere in that area anyway. But it seems like a lot can agree on that. When it comes to independence, that percentage changes. When it comes, you know what I mean, to leaving the EU, that percentage changes. But I believe that a lot of Scots are kind of fed up with the way Westminster operates.
Yes.
So.
And I think as well, Boris saying no, that doesn't bode well with Scots, does it, Paul?
Well,
when somebody says no.
The way he said no, because he did it like such a tool.
Yeah, that cat picture was really funny, wasn't it? that spoof one that someone did. The spoof letter from Boris.
Yeah.
That was funny.
Yeah. You were going to say something, Paul?
Yeah, I was only going to say that, we're going to have to get Eunice back in to finish off with you, but just that the fact that, we're going to have to wait and see what Boris can do deal wise with Brussels, and then we're going to have to look at the whole situation then. As you said, if every time a situation changes, as there's a significant change in government, are we going to do the hokey cokey in and out and in and out and in? That's crazy. You can't have that. You need to have something set in place going forward. I suppose for me that the thing that, as I think Eunice mentioned, a lot of the older people, they don't want change.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they don't want. Anyway, here, talking of older people, here's Eunice.
Yeah, one's about to leave.
Yeah.
Ow!
He's sleeping in the doghouse.
How rude.
Hello.
Hi.
How rude is he?
You're all right. When he said speaking of older people, I says, one's about to leave. So you're all right. I had your back.
So, as we're closing up here, Eunice, tell us some of your thoughts about good old Boris.
Like I said before, I just think he's a total muppet.
Mm-hmm. It's an insult to Muppets.
Yeah, well, and I just think that actually, if we didn't watch what we're doing, we're going to end up being a communist country.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
In his leadership,
him, right?
Yeah, that's where we're headed.
It did concern me to see how he was trying to vote himself more power. It was like his first thought after winning the election was trying to gain more power. And I was like, oh, that's a bad sign.
Yeah. I just think that, and I don't know how we remedy that situation with him, as far as his MPs are concerned and stuff like that. Because obviously, he's totally brainwashed them.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I'm concerned, he's brainwashing them, and they think that he's a good guy, and actually, no, we're going to end up a communist country.
There are a lot of has-beens as well that other prime ministers have said we don't want in the cabinet. So Boris is like, if anybody's daft, it's like, oh, I'll pick them.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been watching. I don't know if you've watched The Crown on Netflix.
No, I didn't watch that. I wanted to watch it because I like things like that.
It's really, really interesting because obviously the Queen, when she first started, when she came to be the Queen, it was very much that she didn't want that. She was forced into it because of the situation with her uncle, and stuff like that. But she, within 10 years of her being in as the Queen, she's had 4 prime ministers, and she was like, how does this happen? It's really, really interesting watching her reaction towards the people coming, like these people coming in to govern, and actually a lot of them were in their late 60s, early 70s.
Older people.
Churchill was 80, I think, when he gave up his prime ministership. He was 80. Yeah. Now, where in this country or any country do you get a person serving in a job to that age? They just don't.
Yeah.
They just don't. So that needs to be looked at as well. That older people, when you're due to retire, whether it be 68 now, 67 now for us.
Kill them off.
Sorry, I kill them off. But they have to abide by those rules as well. As well as everybody else within the country. We can't have older people trying to tell us how we should be living.
Yeah.
We need to be getting, and I know that Boris is younger, but still, his father has a massive influence on him.
Yeah.
And he's a bit iffy, isn't he, with some of his... And I say iffy, that's a choice word, and even on election night, he made a lot of really dodgy comments.
Bizarre statements, And you just think that, parents, obviously your parents have a lot of influence in what you do within your life.
Right.
Yeah.
But to still be in a situation where he's kind of dictating to his son what should be going
almost
on.
like a prime minister by proxy, you know, sort of thing.
Absolutely.
And hand up the vacuum. That's what. But the night of the election, I always stay up and watch it. I'm usually like that, but I stay up because I'm like, I want to see what's happening. There was a programme on, and Boris's dad was on, and his sister was on.
Right.
And this was obviously before Christmas, remember that? And they'd said to the sister, you know, have you met Boris's girlfriend? And she's like, no, I've not met her. And they'd been going out for like, I think, quite a bit of time, you know. And then she said, they said to her, you know, where's everybody going for Christmas? Are you having a family Christmas? And she went, I'm going to Scotland. Mm-hmm. So the sister of Boris is coming to Scotland for a holiday. So I don't know whether that was a bit of a, you know.
Get out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Obviously not agreeing with what he was doing.
Yes. Yeah.
Hey, like I said, I think in the coming months or the following of Brexit here, I think we're going to see the writing on the wall, because if English businesses are going to no longer be competitive in the European market, that's going to hurt them. I mean, if they can only sell to people in England and Wales and Scotland for a time until they get their independence, which I think is pretty much inevitable at this point, but it's just going to be a matter of how quickly. But
it's like, you know, I'm not really up on, but I know that like there's a big thing about the Scottish whiskey coming to America.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
40% of your whiskey.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
but you guys sell a buttload all around the world. I mean,
and we drink it as well.
Yeah.
You just get the scraps. You know.
But there's America, for example, are trying to put on a lot more tax. Mm-hmm. So Trump is saying we're needing to put so much more tax on the whiskey coming to America, which is going to stop Scotland sending it to America because it's not profitable for them.
Yeah.
So why would we do it?
Yeah.
And is it China or Japan that's doing whiskey as well? There's one of them. I can't remember. There's somewhere.
Japan. I think it was Japan.
Yeah. Because obviously that's out of the loop, you know.
Yeah.
But less people will buy it is the problem. So that's what we come down to. Yeah. You know, that's something Trump's doing, but he's doing it to like everybody. He's basically it's one of his little things that he's doing with everybody. So it's not like it's personal against the Scots, really.
No, absolutely.
I mean, as somebody who loves Scotch, though, I mean, it's kind of a bummer. It's another reason why
whiskey. You need to call it whiskey.
To be like, oh Jesus, this clown. But anyway.
But no, I'll have to try and get my sister down to do a chat with you, because she is like shit hot on independence, and my nephew, like she's the same as you, Sharon, and she sits up and watches the election. She takes a day off her work. You know, it's always a Thursday, so she takes a day off so she can sit all night and watch what's going on. But she is totally up on it. Like, she's shit hot. Some of the things that she's taught me about it, I mean, I didn't know anything about like the boot situation, Starbucks, and all the rest of it. It was her that told me, and about the medication. You know, if we leave Brexit, that Emily's going to have to pay for that. It'll not be Emily, it'll be bloody Paul and I that's paying for it. Never mind. Right. But you know what I mean? It was
because
her that
you care and you want her to survive, right?
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. And that's where and I know that there was a thing in America about people paying privately, and actually because they have to pay privately, a lot of them aren't getting their medication because they can't afford it. They can't afford it.
Right.
Because I mean, even like Neil's on cancer medicine, and it's like if we were having to pay for that, it'd be like £50,000 a year. Do you know what I mean? It's like that's crazy. Do you know what I mean? It's like you think. You can buy a house for that. You know what I mean? You can buy a house.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you know, and it's like, it's crazy the amount of money that if you were paying for, I mean, remember when we used to have to pay prescriptions? I think that's the thing. We used to have to pay them when it was Labour that were in.
Yes.
And then obviously the SNP were like, right, okay, you know, scratch the record, you know.
Yeah.
and realised that it was a better thing for people to get the healthcare when they need it, you know.
And I remember it.
Population, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I remember at one stage in this area, I don't know about where you are in Glasgow, wherever you are, Sharon, but there was a situation where they held, our local council held the tax, like our tax bracket, you know, within our house.
Yeah.
That it stayed the same for about 10 years.
Yeah.
So it now
freeze.
So it now means that they've had to put it up, and it goes up yearly, according to people's wages. But it now means that we didn't get our bins picked up every week. It's every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You know, things like that. It's been a knock-on effect. We thought it was great at the time that they'd frozen all that, but actually it's had a detrimental effect on what's actually happening within your community, because they've had to pay people off because they've not got the same collections and all the rest of it. And we've not got you used to come and get garden waste. We didn't have that anymore.
We're not.
Now, if you want to have your garden waste picked up, you have to pay for it by yourself.
In Glasgow, we do. We get the brown bin, the blue bin, the green bin, purple bin. It's like there's so many bins, and then there's a wee food waste bin, you know, as well. So,
and we haven't got. If we want our garden waste picked up, we have to either take it to tip ourselves, or we have to pay a private company to come and get it.
I keep laughing, Eunice, every time you call me Sharon. Because that's my. It's okay, because you know, no, it's okay. I'm just saying, because I don't want you to think, if you watch this, that I'm laughing at you when you say it. It's just everyone always says it, because that's my sister-in-law.
It is.
So,
and
you know her.
I've not actually seen her for ages, because she's not working with us anymore. She's working at the college now. So
because all my in-laws, they call me Sharon. They go Sharon, and I'm like, I'm not the Sharon, I'm the Sharon, how you get me mixed up? But I just laugh it off, you know, and I'm thinking, I wonder if they do it the other way around, you know, it's like...
maybe.
Like or unless it's just everyone Sharon, it's easier to remember. But it's okay, I'm not holding that against you, and don't worry, I just laugh. I don't know when you see this and think, why is she laughing at me, you know?
That's fine.
Because Eunice used to work with my sister-in-law, so it's like a small world.
Right.
You know, it's like a small world.
Well, where she lives is where my sister lives, in Stow.
Right.
In Stow, so it's only 7 miles up the road from us.
Yeah.
And it's really weird, you know, that when you start looking at connections, because like Paul's sister, her birthday's the same day as my sister.
Right.
There's 5 years between, and you know, there's different connections going on. Paul and I were married the day that Paul's granny died, 20 years before we got married. But you know, there's all these
same date.
Yeah, same date and stuff like that. It's really weird, all these different connections that go on. And I've started doing I'm doing a counselling course.
Brilliant.
My HNC in counselling. So today I was away all day doing what we call skills, and it's like listening, like private counselling within our group. And I'd said to the lecturer, had been talking about her dad, but she's actually from Glasgow and has lived in Glasgow since she was 4 years old. But then she started talking about her dad a couple of weeks ago, and that her dad works at the college, and her mum and dad have been split up since she was 2 years old, and all this. And I'm thinking, I think I maybe know your dad. And I was doing my friend's daughter's hair last night, and I was saying to her, so my lecturer, does her dad live in St. Boswell's? And she said, yes, he does. And I said, is that Brian? And she said, yeah. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. And he was actually one of my lecturers when I did my HNC in childcare.
Yep.
So when I went in today, I said to her, I know your dad. And she went, what?
Think you're pure stalking her? I know where you live.
I know your dad. How do you know my dad? And she said, well, he lectured me in child protection when I did my HNC in childcare.
That is such a small world, isn't it? It really is.
Oh, she says, that is so crazy. It wasn't until you were talking about it that I realised that I your dad, I know your stepmom, I know your sister, and you know all this kind of. And she said, you know, we always say that the borders are a small place, but actually, it's not
Scotland.
the borders; it's the whole of the world.
Yes. Yep. Well, actually, funnily enough, Neil was born in Glasgow but brought up in Aberdeenshire, right?
Right.
And we met when he came down to Glasgow, and it turns out that my uncle and his uncle had been at school together. Even though it's like weird, aye. And then one of the guys that's the yes guy that's coming on, it turns out he's actually a mutual friend of two of my friends, and I just kind of like was chatting to him on YouTube, and you know, it's really funny, you know.
It's a small world after all.
Yeah.
I remember.
And then there's Winston.
Yeah, well, I was in Australia 30 years ago, and I went for a year as a working visa.
Oh,
and
great!
I remember I was walking in the marketplace on a Sunday morning, and I hear this Scottish voice, and I was like, "Oh my God, I know that person!" And my friend said, "Is don't be ridiculous." I said, "I'm telling you, I know that person. That is Claire Howden." And she was like, "Eunice, don't be stupid." And I turned around and I shouted, "Claire!"
As you do.
Oh my God! And I was in the middle in Melbourne. And it's just, it's really crazy.
It's so funny.
That's wild.
I've got ringing going on in my ears. Is it Paul's phone or is it somebody else?
Paul's phone's ringing. But yeah, we're about to wrap up anyway, so. I'm going to go ahead and thank you two ladies for being here.
I did warn you about putting two Scottish women together.
I know.
It's been a lot of fun, and it's great
lovely.
getting everybody's opinions. I mean, for me, I want to get people, you know, just normal, average, everyday Scots and what they think about all these things, and if they're not thinking about these things, to hopefully get them thinking about these things. Because, and I would, and it's not just my advice for Scotland and the UK; it's also my advice for people here at home. But for obvious reasons, I am currently staying away from politics at home. So, it's very important to me that I am supporting Stephen and Avery and Brendan Dassey. And there are a lot of supporters of Stephen Avery and Brendan Dassey. And I would hate to think that because I decided to make things political on that channel that I would divide up the support for those two gentlemen. So that's why I stay away from it. But I will say we all need to start to try to get along a little better.
Absolutely.
But, so that's
how I live.
I mean, it is definitely some, regardless of how you feel about people, it's trying to be non-judgmental.
Yes.
Yeah.
But also
or abusive.
Yeah, empathetic.
Yeah.
To what people are feeling and people's opinions on things. And I think that you've got to be really, really aware of we don't agree with some things that are going on, but you've got to have an understanding that people have got to live. They've got to have their say, even if you didn't agree with it. But also, by them putting their points of view across, you can actually sit back and think, "Oh, I never thought about it in that respect. I never thought about it like that."
Yep.
So you're getting a better understanding of what's actually going on, and I think that is a really, really important thing to be able to look into yourself, to be able to then look out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's something that I'm learning. I mean, obviously I've learned all the time, but I think that because I'm doing this counselling course, it's even brings it more to the forefront for me.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know,
that's great. You're doing that. That's brilliant.
And it is more needed. I mean,
without a
in
doubt.
today's entitled society, which I've been talking about, the fact that we've got so much entitlement going on, that entitlement sometimes makes us callous and careless to others, and it's dangerous. So we all need to be mindful of it. So
well, look how classy we try and be when we're talking to the no side. You know,
right.
It's like, and that's I've said to you
And I've
from day
actually
one.
been meeting some of them that are kind of being classy back. To be fair,
Yes,
so,
when you start that way,
yeah.
if you start that way, it's
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, and it's just an understanding of people's point of views, isn't it?
Yeah.
Exactly. But what I was going to say to you, but you've had a bit of an issue with a crossover. No voter that's into supporting Brendan and Stephen.
Oh,
Remember on Twitter?
Yeah, Obi.
So you've had a bit of an issue there. But I mean, you're keeping that separate, and you know that's.
Well, yeah, it's what I'm trying to do because I don't want Brendan and Steven to suffer.
No.
Well, we're here for them. At the end of the day, it's trying to get justice for them.
Justice,
Yeah.
Or you should mean don't want them to suffer more than they're suffering.
Yeah.
Justice and equality all the way around. That's what I'm about.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, we've got to do that.
All right, ladies. Well, thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on.
Pleasure.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it.
It's
All
great.
right. Well,
I've no idea where Paul's
sure.
gone. I have no idea where he's gone, but it's obviously we have to stay.
Yeah, he gets a little buggy when I start talking about independence. You know,
He's like that, Eunice.
Actually, to be fair, we very rarely talk about it together.
Right.
Because it has got different issues in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Paul's. I've been getting kind of familiar with Paul's feelings on it. He is certainly not really decided on it. He's certainly got some issues.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Whereas it's in our blood, I think. I get the feeling it's in your blood like mine. Yep.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you again, ladies.
Thank you.
Goodbye, everybody out there. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe.
Take care.
All right, so that's it for my little chat today with the Capaldis and Miss Sharon Sunshine. We are going to be looking to talk to many other people here in the future, but I do also look forward to having these ladies back on again because they are a lot of fun. And so, we're going to continue to just kind of continue to look at this and evaluate it and assess it and do those sort of things. So it's going to be good because we're going to be getting hopefully both sides involved in the conversation, which is what I would prefer. So we've had some people on the other side that are expressing an interest to be part of the conversation, which is great. So that's where we're kind of headed. So if you haven't already, please hit subscribe and we'll see you.